Okay, let's unpack something truly mind-bending. Forget your usual whodunits. This is a straight-up how could it possibly be.
Yeah. Bro. Yeah.
We're plunging into the bizarre 1989 Fukushima toilet tank death incident.
Right.
A 26-year-old man found deceased inside a school's septic tank.
Wow. Okay.
Just picture that for a second. It's the kind of scenario that really sticks with you.
It certainly does. I mean, the initial details alone just spark a barrage of questions, don't they?
Totally.
The sheer improbability of ending up in such a confined and, let's be honest, grim location immediately suggests that this is no ordinary case. Accident, suicide, or, something far darker at play.
Exactly. And the initial whispers, the assumptions floating around,
Yeah.
they lean towards, like, a peeping Tom who met a gruesome end.
Right. The sort of immediate, maybe simpler explanation.
But as we delve into these fascinating analyses from Japanese YouTube, that simple explanation starts to look incredibly flimsy. It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. The pieces just don't quite connect.
Precisely. And the sources you've brought to the table, they paint a compelling picture of a case just riddled with inconsistencies, fueled by persistent speculation, and a mystery that has stubbornly refused to fade away over the decades.
Yeah, it's really captured people's imagination.
It's a story that continues to intrigue and unsettle in equal measure.
So our mission today is to navigate the insights offered by these dedicated Japanese YouTube investigators. We've got videos featuring meticulous 3D reconstructions, detailed examinations of the timeline, and a whole spectrum of theories trying to make sense of the seemingly impossible.
Right.
Let's try and extract the core puzzles and see if these perspectives can illuminate this deeply strange tragedy.
And what's immediately striking, I think, is the depth of analysis and the sheer dedication these independent researchers have brought to a cold case from so long ago.
Absolutely, it's impressive.
They are essentially revisiting the fundamental questions with a fresh lens, utilizing modern digital tools to scrutinize the long available information.
Okay, so let's tackle the first and perhaps most glaring hurdle. How on earth did someone even get into that septic tank?
The million-dollar question, right?
The opening was reportedly a mere 36 centimeters in diameter, while Kazuyoshi Kanno's estimated shoulder width was closer to 40 centimeters. That's a tight squeeze, to say the least. It almost sounds physically impossible.
That's the initial sticking point that grabs everyone's attention, yeah. And it's where one of the videos, the one dedicates significant effort. They actually attempted a detailed 3D reconstruction specifically to test the feasibility of physical entry.
Oh, wow. Okay, so they really tried to figure it out practically.
Yeah, and their experiments are quite eye-opening. They explored various entry methods, head first, feet first, kind of contorting the body in different ways.
Like how you might actually try to wiggle in.
Exactly. They even considered factors like needing to be nude or using some kind of lubricant. It wasn't a simple matter of just slipping in.
Right, not like falling down a manhole.
Not at all. And they highlight an initial experiment where a staff member couldn't enter a 30-centimeter opening, which seems to confirm the impossibility.
Okay.
But they then clarify a crucial detail. The smaller measurement likely included the inner metal frame of the opening.
Ah, okay, so the actual hole was bigger.
The actual unobstructed diameter of the septic tank opening itself was likely the stated 36 centimeters. And this distinction is key because it suggests the initial assumption of impossibility might have been based on, well, incomplete information.
Okay, that changes things a bit. So 36 centimeters, did anyone manage that?
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. The same video goes on to show a successful entry into a 36-centimeter replica by someone with a similar build to Kanno.
Seriously, they got in?
Uh-huh. And they managed it both without clothes and while clothed.
Wow. Okay. So while incredibly tight, incredibly difficult, I imagine.
Definitely difficult.
It appears that physical entry wasn't necessarily out of the question.
That's a crucial pivot, I think. It shifts our focus from the how of physical entry being impossible to the why and all the surrounding circumstances.
Right, okay.
And the Hughes video also delves into this aspect, drawing on contemporary news reports and another source, the Yuko TV program. They actually confirm Kanno's height and weight, 169.2 centimeters and 69.5 kilograms.
So giving us more precise data to work with.
Exactly. More data to evaluate the physical plausibility.
And what did their reenactment show?
Well, Similarly surprising results. They had a volunteer with comparable physical dimensions successfully enter a 30-centimeter opening.
Wait, 30 centimeters, not 36.
Right. And they presented the smaller size as potentially representing, again, a framed opening, reinforcing the idea that a clear 36-centimeter opening would have been even more manageable, relatively speaking, of course.
So, okay, both of these independent investigations seem to converge on a significant point. While undoubtedly difficult, maybe agonizingly so, physical entry into a 36-centimeter opening by someone of Kanno's build was not strictly impossible.
Correct. And furthermore, they both consider the condition of Kanno's body.
Right, the injuries, or lack thereof.
Exactly. Both YouTube analyses, along with testimony from a police officer in that TV program, note the lack of significant trauma or injuries. You know, the kind you might expect if someone had been forcibly crammed into such a tight space.
So no major broken bones, no signs of a violent struggle to get him in.
Apparently not. The redness and minor abrasions observed could be consistent with someone crawling through a confined area, voluntarily or not, perhaps, but not necessarily forced violently.
Huh. So the initial theory of absolutely impossible entry, it starts to lose its footing,
It really does.
which naturally leads us to the far more complex and, frankly, conflicting theories surrounding his actual death.
This raises the critical question. If Kanno could have entered the tank, maybe, why on earth would he? And what explanation accounts for the other truly bizarre elements of this case?
Yeah, because getting in is one thing, the rest is something else.
The Nikoch video outlines several potential explanations that have circulated over the years.
Okay, like what?
Well, they briefly touch on the possibility of a self-inflicted death or a bizarre accident, but they quickly dismiss these scenarios. Just a lack of any supporting evidence.
No indication of suicidal tendencies, nothing like that.
No, none reported. And no plausible accidental scenario really fits the circumstances. So that's when they delve into the more unsettling and controversial murder theories.
Right, if not accident or suicide.
One prominent theory discussed involves a potential conspiracy surrounding the village headman.
Okay, why him?
This theory arises from the context of a local election. Apparently, Kanno had initially supported the incumbent headman, but then withdrew his support.
A political fallout.
Possibly. It's coupled with allegations that the headman was a strong advocate for nuclear power. Something Kanno, working at the Fukushima Danini plant, may have opposed.
Ooh, okay, that adds another layer. But are there counter-arguments?
Yes, the video also presents some strong ones. They point out that the election outcome wasn't particularly close, making such a drastic and risky act like murder and elaborate staging seem disproportionate as a political maneuver.
Yeah, seems like overkill, literally.
And, as they logically argue, if it were indeed a murder for political reasons, you would likely expect a far less conspicuous method of disposal. Why a septic tank at a school?
Good point. So what other theories did that video mention?
Well, the Newkirch video also considers other possibilities involving third-party involvement. Things like a potential love triangle or jealousy related to the female teacher who discovered the body.
The one who found him.
Yes, her and her fiancé. Or, another angle, retaliation by someone Kanno was investigating for making prank calls.
Prank calls? To who?
Apparently to that same female teacher. Kanno was trying to help her figure out who it was.
But again, these are just theories. Right?
Exactly. As they rightly point out, these remain speculative, lacking any concrete evidence to truly support them, just possibilities floating around.
This is where the Timma video offers another crucial layer to the puzzle, really drilling down on the inconsistencies that undermine that initial peeping Tom conclusion.
Yes, that video is very thorough on the contradictions.
They bring up some truly perplexing points that are hard to ignore.
Yes, the Temma video meticulously highlights several key discrepancies. The size differential we talked about between the opening and Kanno's shoulders.
Right.
The fact that he was found head first, apparently with no attempt to escape, that's odd, isn't it?
Very odd. And then the truly bizarre detail of him being unclothed.
Completely unclothed.
In near freezing February temperatures, with his clothes found folded neatly nearby, these all strongly contradict a simple accident while, spying.
Absolutely. And then you have the incredibly strange discovery of one of his shoes. Get this. A full 3 kilometers away.
Wait, 3 kilometers? One shoe.
One shoe, 3 kilometers away, in a remote area.
How does that even happen? That detail alone just screams that something far more complex was going on. How does a single shoe end up so far from the scene of an accidental drowning in a septic tank? It makes no sense.
Precisely. None at all. The Oya video also emphasizes the female teacher's absence from her residence during the estimated time of Kanno's death.
So she wasn't even home when he supposedly might have been trying to peep.
Seems not. And her reportedly close relationship with him, which further weakens the peeping Tom theory. Why would he spy on a friend?
Good point.
And the discovery of Kanno's car abandoned near the school with the keys still in the ignition. It adds yet another layer of bewildering strangeness to the case.
It's just detail after detail that doesn't fit the simple story.
Exactly. So the Oya video then delves into alternative theories that were reportedly considered by local investigators, and these range from suspicious to truly explosive.
Uh-oh. Like what?
Well, they explore the possibility of the female teacher herself being involved, questioning her reaction upon finding the body, suggesting maybe she might have staged the discovery.
Wow, okay. That's a heavy accusation.
Very. But they are exploring angles investigators apparently considered. They also revisit the angle of retaliation by the unknown individual making those prank calls to her.
Because Kanno was looking into it.
Right. The village headman theory also resurfaces in their analysis, again linked to the election and the possibility of Kanno possessing damaging information about him.
Okay, same motives as before.
But perhaps the most explosive theory presented by the Tufija video connects Kanno's death to a potential accident or incident at the Fukushima Daini nuclear power plant where he was employed.
Whoa. Okay, now we're into potentially major cover-up territory.
Exactly. They mention the reported suicide of Kanno's superior around that time and raise the chilling possibility that Kanno may have had knowledge of something, an incident, maybe negligence that someone wanted to keep hidden.
So powerful.
The implication is there, even suggesting a potential cover-up by authorities related to the nuclear facility. That takes the stakes to a whole new level.
It really does. That's a huge leap from peeping Tom.
It is indeed. The low video then culminates in a speculative, but, you have to admit, compelling scenario based on these details.
Okay, what's the scenario?
Kanno may have been abducted from his car, perhaps taken somewhere else first.
Which could explain the shoe.
Exactly. Transported to a remote location, explaining the distant shoe, and then subsequently placed in the septic tank, maybe already deceased, maybe unconscious, to create the illusion of an accidental death or suicide.
Oh, man. That's dark. But it does kind of tie some threads together.
It's a disturbing theory that attempts to weave together many of the seemingly disparate and inexplicable details. It tries to make sense of the shoe, the car, the unclothed state.
So we are left with just a vast landscape of unanswered questions and a deeply unsettling feeling. Why was Kanno found unclothed? Where were his other personal belongings? We only heard about one shoe in his clothes.
Good question. Wallet. Other shoe.
How did that single shoe travel so far? What was the significance of his abandoned car with the keys still inside? And what about the official cause of death, hypothermia and then suffocation, due to being compressed?
Yeah.
How does that truly align with all these other bizarre facts?
It feels insufficient, doesn't it, given everything else?
It really does.
The enduring lack of a definitive and convincing motive established by the authorities remains a central point of frustration.
I bet.
And as both the Seksu and Koresh videos highlight, the public skepticism surrounding the official narrative was significant. It led to a petition, apparently.
Well, a petition for what?
Demanding a more thorough reinvestigation. It got over 4,300 signatures, which shows you the level of public doubt.
Wow. Did anything come of it?
Unfortunately, no. And as the Kuda video points out, the statute of limitations on this case tragically expired back in 2004.
Oh, no. So it's legally closed.
Meaning that any potential criminal prosecution is now legally impossible. That adds another layer of disappointment and unresolved tension to this already deeply perplexing situation.
Man, that's frustrating. So the truth might never officially come out.
It seems unlikely through official channels now, yes. Which makes the work of these online researchers even more notable, perhaps.
Yeah.
What's truly remarkable is how these independent online researchers continue to meticulously dissect and analyze a case that officially went cold so long ago.
It shows people still care, still want answers.
Their efforts underscore the fundamental human desire for answers, especially when confronted with such a baffling and disturbing series of events.
So as we conclude this deep dive,
Yeah.
where does this leave us? It seems physically possible that Kazuyoshi Kanno could have entered that septic tank.
Just about possible, yeah.
But the sheer volume of strange and contradictory circumstances, the missing clothes, the lone shoe miles away, the abandoned car, the multitude of conflicting and unsubstantiated theories, it paints a picture that is anything but simple or straightforward.
Not simple at all. It remains a profoundly perplexing and deeply unsettling case.
The Japanese YouTube sources we've explored today offer invaluable insights, don't they, into the physical plausibility of entry, the wide range of theories.
Definitely. They serve as a powerful reminder of the many unanswered questions and the enduring mystery that continues to fuel speculation decades later. They keep the questions alive.
Which leads us to a final thought-provoking question for you listening right now. Considering all the inconsistencies, the physical possibilities, the reenactments, and the various theories we've laid out today, what scenario do you find most plausible?
Yeah, what's your gut feeling?
And what crucial piece of the puzzle, if found, might finally unlock the truth of what happened to Kazuo Ishikano? Is there one missing link?
Could this be a case of a relatively simple explanation? Maybe a bizarre accident we can't quite fathom obscured by a series of truly weird coincidences?
Or does it point towards something more complex, more sinister, and perhaps deliberately concealed?
It's a case that really compels us to engage in critical thinking, doesn't it? To remain open to considering multiple, even uncomfortable perspectives.
Absolutely. We encourage you to continue exploring this enigmatic event. Maybe look up some of these analyses yourself. The resources are out there.
The definitive answer, it seems, remains elusive, still hidden somewhere within this intricate web of speculation and enduring unanswered questions. A true modern mystery.